And you're a kitchen and bath design specialist and the founder of the Kitchen and Bath Design Academy. So, today I wanted to bring to you all a couple of things that have been discussed about and what's going on now with one of my projects going on in Brooklyn and other things. So, basically, what happens when you process a kitchen order is you send your paperwork over to the factory, who's ever making your cabinetry. Now, we're going to be talking about, let's say, Omega Cabinetry, which is the vendor this time. Could be Craft Made, could be Schrock, could be Dora Supreme, could be Decor. Pick your Fieldstone, Star Mark, whatever your brand is that you're getting your cabinets. Okay, so they are a national brand. They sell nationally, territorial. They're made in not large factories, 100,000 square feet, 200,000 square feet, 500,000 square feet, whatever the factory is, it's huge. So, like an assembly line, cabinetry is made like that. Your order goes into the vendor via paper. Somebody in on that end of the receiving has to enter the order now into their system. So once your order with your order number, your customer name, whatever your purchase order is, all that gets translated into the vendor's computer system, and they're going to translate and give you their reference number for the project. So you now have a manufacturer's reference uh, for your project. So that comes through, and then they put it all in. There's girls and guys and people sitting there putting the products in, whether they go in electronically or however they go through. It has to translate from me to them to them to them. So from the designer to the vendor intake person to the vendor's manufacturing department, and then to all the different departments from there, because they're making your drawers based on that order number. They're making all your boxes based, so everything gets made up in the different areas within the factory. So before it goes to the factory, you have to go to the order intaker at the factory. So the order intaker is putting everything into the computer, and then they send it back to me, the designer, and I have usually 24 hours to check that acknowledgement and make sure it is correct. And it's not a quick little look over. You have to take your acknowledgement and make sure that everything on that acknowledgement is correct. You have to check off every single item: the customer's name, the finish, the door style, the style number, the cabinet construction, the box construction, the drawer box, the drawer slides, whatever the details are for that order are going to be at the top. And sometimes within each manufacturer, they'll have a framed line with multiple design levels. Within that framed line, you'll get a frameless line with different design levels within that, meaning particle board versus plywood versus white interior versus wood grain interior. Framed would be, plywood 1/2 inch, plywood 3/4 inch, plywood 5/8. So it goes up, each grade. So within the company, they may have several grades and several construction methods. So there's a lot going on with this one piece of paper that you are now getting back, and you don't look at it on the computer, print it out and physically take a pen and go through line by line by line by line, because you know why? If you don't pick up on a mistake on that order within 24 hours, you've had your lock off. You've had your 24 hours, and now the factory's like, well, Susie Q Designs did not uh, say anything was wrong with this acknowledgement, so we're going to say that it's correct. The 24 to 48 hours timeline has shut, and that now gets passed off to the production department. And from the production department, it goes in their pile, and it gets, like I said, divided to within the different departments. Okay, so that's how fast your order acknowledgement comes back. And that's the time that you have to check it and make sure, is something missing? Is something hinged wrong? Is it missing a finished side? If you have cabinets coming in and they're supposed to have a finished side, and you didn't look that it was finished side both, and you only said finished side right, came acknowledged, because somewhere in the translation it got mixed up, because things get mixed up. These are people. We are not, and even auto generated, that AI isn't always 100% correct, and it could be off. So you have these fine lines and fine timelines that you have to get in. Now, my project in Brooklyn, and I've talked about it in the past, and I'll talk about it again. I designed it and handed it off to her, and she purchased her cabinets through a vendor. Okay. I was the dealer. I was a dealer, so I know exactly. You can't tell me how it works as a dealer, like, other than how I know I'm a dealer. I know what the thing is. I know how the cabinets go. I know what the business is like. Her cabinetry, the first time it comes through, 1, 2, 3 cabinets are left off. 3 cabinets are left off. Now, and I know the 3 cabinets were left off because somewhere along the line they were either on the order, and then they just, because everything goes in order when you put the order through. It's like numbered automatically for you, and the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, you have to make sure that all the numbers correspond. So those 3 cabinets in a row got left off the order. You can't tell me different. The manufacturer, the vendor, dealer says, "Oh, they ran out the laminate." Okay, no, a multi-billion-dollar corporation does not run out of laminate. Okay, they don't do it unless there's a major halt, and they never would have gotten any of their cabinetry. It would have been a major catastrophe within the industry that this cabinet company, they wouldn't leave 3 cabinets off. Okay, number one. So, and now, so they say, no, 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 it was Omega's fault. They left it off. Okay, whatever the dealer wants to say. So here we go today. And we've been waiting 6 weeks for these new cabinets to come in. It's been 6 to 8 weeks because it wasn't put in on a parts order. Okay, they weren't able to get it rushed through production. It probably, because it was 3 full cabinets, they probably had to go through regular construction lines, unless maybe they didn't call, or who knows, whatever. I would have been on the factory with the president of the division saying, push mine to the top. I can't wait 6 weeks for my customer. But anyway, I digress. So now I'm going to show you. She gets her cabinets, and let's see. So I get a text from her today, and this whole week, oh, did you get your cabinets? Did you get your cabinets? Yes, I got my, okay, they're in. When is the contractor coming? Blah, blah, blah. We've been waiting for this. I think her cabinets were first installed in December, or right by December. Check this out. They ordered, these are the 3 cabinets, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Yeah, nobody checked that acknowledgement when it came through. And they didn't pick up that these are 39 inches high, but this one here is 36 inches high. And look, it looks like it's hinged the wrong way. Anyway, I have to see that on my end because it looks like they put the handle on the wrong way. Is that the handle in that picture? Oh my gosh, if that's the handle in the picture, I'm really gonna freak the frig out because how stupid. Is there a handle on there? It's hinged. They hung it upside down, that means. Oh my gosh, they hung that cabinet upside down or they put the yeah, because the if it's a square door you and the hinges are wrong, you just go like that. Although these I'm not sure whether she had the all the bottoms finished on hers. So if it was hinged wrong and it's the wrong cabinet. Okay, so that's what's happening there. So you cannot tell me, Mr. Um uh stop sharing. You can't tell me, Mr. Magoo, that the factory made a mistake because somebody made a mistake and somebody didn't catch the mistake within the 24 hours that it takes to catch that mistake. You have to be on these orders. And a lot of companies have a dedicated order person, an expediter, they're called, and they do nothing but order and then check through those orders and then file all those orders. And you always have paper backup. Okay. You need to download your paperwork, keep your paperwork, have a folder. Do not have everything just digitally because sometimes that digital stuff flips out and it's gone. Where is it? Okay. You make a paper copy, you download it, you print it, and you sit there and you write your notes all over it. And then you scan it and you fax it back or email it back or whatever you do to email it back to the vendor saying, whoa, this is wrong with a big X on it. Stop. Because once it goes into production, you're shit out of luck. Okay. It's 25% cancellation fee. We got to start all over and everything else. So now this, I want you to know, it's not like I've never seen it before. I'm going to say that this company is really lagging behind on their acknowledgement process, and this is probably something that's common in quite a few of their jobs because there's no reason for this to have happened if it was done properly. And Wait till I tell her they hung it upside down and it's hinged the wrong way. So now if no one's managing this project, okay? You pay 15% for a project manager for shit like this, okay? Because now what does that vendor have to do? They originally sold the project, however it was that it was ordered. Let's say all those 3 cabinets, they sold it, okay? They sold it for $30,000, okay? It cost them, they thought it was gonna cost 18,000, but it only ended up costing 15,000. So they think they've got an extra 3 grand in their pocket, right? Because they thought it was going to be 18. Now it's only 15. Well, you know what? They don't have an extra 3 grand in their pocket because now they have to go in, order more cabinets that they thought they paid for, which weren't paid for. They have to pay more shipping for the shipping company and they have to pay more delivery to get the stuff delivered back to the customer. And they can't charge the customer anymore for delivery. They can't charge the customer anymore for shipping. They can't do it. They've already charged this customer. So now they've got those 3 cabinets, and now one of them is incorrect. So we can argue and fight that it was well, you know whose fault it was? If it was on who it wasn't signed off on. So That's where the problem lies. And I know because I was an expediter for Home Depot for about a year. So back in the day, in the 90s, when it literally was all paperwork, literally. So now they have to go in there and buy another cabinet because that cabinet's garbage. So that cabinet is now going to cost them the door and the box. Okay, between the box and the door, and to ship that cabinet because it's one cabinet. And you have a chance of it getting damaged now because it's got to go through like common carrier or something like that. So that one cabinet can cost them $1,000. So not only did they eat up the $3,000 because they left off those three cabinets, but now they ordered the wrong cabinet. They have to eat that new old cabinet, which is in their pocket, hundreds to thousands of dollars. So how do this is the nature of the kitchen business when you deal with the cabinetry. That is why it is extremely important to calculate your profit margin, to make the money on the cabinetry so that you don't get caught with your pants down when the shit hits the fan because we have problems, because this is a problem riddled business. And it's not uncommon to have stuff. Maybe this is a little more than usual, but how many times the cabinet was supposed to be ordered with the finished bottom, but they left the finished bottom off. Now I got to get the finished bottom extra, and to have it installed on site, I got to pay the installer to finish the bottom, and it's not going to come out the same way that it would in the factory. So it's a never ending cycle battle. How do we solve our problem? People say, oh, that designer over there, that company, they are very expensive. And it's like, no, they're not expensive. They have a good product and they need to make the profit so they can remain in business and be a viable uh, employer, a viable contractor, and have a good reputation. How do you get a good reputation? You make sure that you can solve your customers' problems, right? We have to solve the problem. So this customer of mine, that company has to do whatever he needs to do to solve the customer's problem. And it's not the customer's problem, it's the vendor's problem, it's the dealer's problem. So I need to have money, the dealer needs to have money in the bank because he's made enough profit that in case of errors, he's got room, like you do with your mortgage. Have that 6 months worth of payments in the bank. Well, have the cushion in the profits that in case something goes wrong, you have the funds as a business to rectify the problem. So don't think that you need to give everybody a good deal. I'm going to give everybody a good deal. I'm going to give it. No, no, you don't need to give people a good deal. You need to make enough money so you can remain in business, so that you can continue to do a good job and be in business for 30 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever. Pass it down, sell it. And it all has to do with your profit margin. So you don't undersell your projects. You need to make enough profit margin in your entire business to sustain your business. So don't undersell your time, don't undersell your product. And if someone tells you they're giving you a deal, you know they're really not giving you a deal, because we all need to make money. Everybody needs to pay the bills, and the mortgage company isn't going to take no for an extended amount of time. So how do you figure out your profit margin? How do we do this? So here. Okay, so this, I just want you to know. If I make this, is that even doing anything on screen? Okay, it's sharing my screen. So I did this. I asked Chat GPT to show me how to calculate it because I know how to calculate it. I know there's a mathematical calculation, but I don't know how to do it. So basically, this is how it says. It says to calculate the profit on the cost of goods sold, you first need to determine the gross profit, which is the difference between the revenue earned from selling and the cost of the goods sold. So the formula for gross profit is gross profit equals the revenue minus the cost of goods sold. But you can't just say my gross profit is $4,000. It has to break itself down into a percentage, because what you need to do is, once you determine this gross profit margin, you you have to give it a percentage, because you times all your projects by this percentage, so you know you're always making your profit margin. So you have your profit on the cost of goods sold, which equals the profit divided by the cost of goods sold times 100. So how do we break it down? The company has $10,000 in revenue, and the cost of goods sold was $6,000. So my profit would be $4,000. So the profit, which is $4,000, is divided by the cost of goods sold times 100%. Okay? So you take your profit. In this case, it's $4,000. Let's do it again. You have your profit. This is our profit. The gross profit. We sold 10,000 was our sales, but our cost of goods was 6,000. So I made 4,000. I take the $4,000 that I profited from, and I divide that by the cost of goods sold, which is going to give me 0.666. But if you times it by 100, it gives you 66%, because your not profit is not 0.66%. It's 66% profit. So you're managing your business on a 66% profit margin. So here we have another one. Gross profit margin is your revenue minus the cost of goods sold. So your gross profit margin, we had $10,000, which is your gross revenue, and it cost of goods sold was $60,000. The profit margin is $40,000. So 60,000 minus 100,000 minus 60,000 divided by the overall cost of the overall profit. For the cost of goods sold would be gross profit. The profit on the cost of goods sold would be 66%. Okay. And I still always get confused by that. Let's stop sharing. So you take your profit, which is the revenue, minus the cost of goods sold is the profit. Then you take your profit and divide that by your cost of goods sold, and that equals the percentage of your profit margin times 100 to give you that. Put the dots, the percentage sign over a couple of dots with 66%. So you have to make sure that you're running your business. You don't want a gross profit margin of 30%, because then you have to take into account all of the things that you have to run your business. So you could say on that project, I made 66% on the project, but then what is it in my business? I have to deduct my electric. I have to deduct my insurance. I have to deduct workers' comp if you need it. I have to deduct my assistance. I have to deduct my web bill, my website designer's bill, my virtual assistant's bill. So you have to deduct all of those from your revenue. And that's really your gross profit. And if you take your gross profit and you divide it by all those other costs, that's where you get your percentage of your gross profit margin. And people tell you need to run your business at 45% profit margin. And or so you take all your stuff and you times it by 1.45. So if it costs you $10,000, you make sure that you times 1.45, and that's going to be what you sell your projects for. But in the kitchen and bath business, because a lot of people have showrooms, you've got to work on a higher profit margin. You've got to work on a 53, 56, 57% profit margin. And that's how you maintain your success. And that's how you can fix the problems of what's going wrong with projects. Now, this is kitchens, okay? I don't know what goes on with the other rooms, sofas and whatnot, but